Previously on HUTV. Tonight's episode, Bambolayo.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of HUTV, Huntsville Utilities Television. I'm Todd, joined as always by the Bonnie to my Clyde and the Jekyll to my Hyde, Amanda.
Hi everybody.
Of course, HUTV would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. And here with this week's sponsor is the life-size cardboard cutout of our president and CEO, Wes Kelly.
This week's episode of HUTV is sponsored by Rolls of Gauze. The next time you want to dress up like a mummy, raid your first aid kit for Rolls of Gauze.
Thank you, Flat Wes. Of course, every March 29th, we celebrate National Lemon Chiffon Cake Day. In the 1920s, an insurance salesman named Henry Baker thought he could make a lighter, richer cake than angel food, which was quite popular at the time. He eventually came up with the recipe for lemon chiffon, and until 1947, he was the only person baking chiffon cakes, which he did for the Brown Derby restaurant in Los Angeles. He eventually sold the recipe to General Mills for an undisclosed amount. So, happy Lemon Chiffon Day.
Did you bring one, Todd? Because I am...
What exactly is chiffon?
Well, I think it's the light cake. I don't know. I'm more of a lemon meringue.
I was going to say, what's the difference between meringue and chiffon?
I think it's just a light cake. Oh, we need to have somebody just bring us lemon chiffon cake. Maybe anybody out there want to bring us some cake? We haven't tried it.
I can't eat it right now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, we'll freeze yours.
Okay. In all seriousness, we are very early in the severe weather season, and already we've had at least two strong storm systems pass through the area.
Living around here, this kind of weather is just something that we're used to, and there's a danger in that, and we have to be cautious that we don't get complacent.
Yeah, just like anything else, when something becomes commonplace, you tend to underestimate it and maybe take it for granted.
And in the case of severe weather, that can be dangerous.
Yeah, now we live in a prime part of the country for tornadoes, not telling you anything you don't know there. And we all remember, of course, what happened 10 years ago next month.
Yeah, that's right. April 27th, 2011 was one of the largest super tornado outbreaks in Alabama history, with 62 tornadoes occurring across the state.
The total damage path from all those tornadoes was almost 700 miles. And there were 1,998 injuries and tragically 238 deaths.
Of course, not every storm system is going to produce that kind of damage, but regardless, you need to be prepared. And I think that storm system is just still so fresh in our memories. But, we've kind of gotten lucky. The last couple of storm systems that have come through haven't really, we've just missed them. And so April's almost here.
Right, and the most recent one, of course, it did miss, although we did get a lot of heavy rain. We must at some, say it was terrible what happened down in Pelham, the loss of life down there, and if you've seen the damage pictures, it's incredible, and we certainly, our hearts are with those people down there. But what we want to talk about today is being prepared for those storms. We hear this kind of thing a lot. Us here, we don't think it's the kind of thing that can be said too much. But we want you to be prepared not for just the storm when it comes, but for the restoration process in case of a prolonged power outage.
Right. Huntsville Utilities has a highly trained safety and security department that helps us in these kinds of situations, and we've asked a member of that team to come and talk with us today because I think he'll have a lot of good things to say.
Right. So with that being said, let's welcome our guests. Okay, we are over in our electric operations building right now, and we're talking to Casey Patterson. Casey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the company?
Hello, everybody. My name is Casey Patterson. I am the electric safety officer here at Huntsville Utilities. Just a quick overview of myself. I have been in this role for about a year and a half now. I was a lineman. I come up through the ranks. I've got about 18 years in.
All right, and we've been talking a lot about with all the bad weather we've had, and of course this is just the beginning. The severe weather season is starting, and we want to talk a little bit about what customers should do when they hear that, hey, a severe storm is coming. What can they do to prepare themselves, I guess?
Of course, always pay attention to your local news media. Pay attention to the weather. Have a safe place designated to go to during severe weather, and always take it seriously.
Yeah, we've got one of those weather radios plugged in all the time, and I guess it's got a battery backup too, but I like that we have that. I think that helps us stay informed when there's bad weather.
Yeah, and I know I got a couple of notices on my phone last night for flash flooding.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, I mean, and a lot of the local TV stations have weather-specific apps that'll give you warnings and stuff too. So yeah, keeping on top of it is the key. Of course, we've been lucky in the storms that we've had here. Power's stayed on. We haven't had a lot of problems with that. But let's say we get in a situation where big storm comes through and takes down some lines, and we've got like a prolonged power outage. What are some things the customers should know about that to keep themselves safe?
As always, if the lines are down, call Huntsville Utilities and report it. Never go outside and play with down power lines, even though you don't hear anything or see anything arcing. That line can still be hot, whether or not it is being hot where the fuse protection didn't blow and it is actually still feeding hot from us, or somebody has hooked the generator up wrong. If somebody's hooked the generator up wrong, it also can backfeed and that line can stay hot with no warning.
Yeah, and that's something we've heard a lot about before is backfeeding generators. And there's a lot of people who think, oh well, it's no big deal. I'm just going to use this to power my house, but it's really a dangerous thing for people to be doing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you have a generator and are planning on using it during power outages, you need to call a licensed electrician and let him come out and install a transfer switch. Because if that is hooked up in the wrong manner, it can and will hurt somebody, hurt them severely, if not cause death.
Yeah, and it's especially dangerous for guys like you and other line workers who are out there trying to restore power. From where you guys are standing, the line should be dead, but you find out somebody's running a generator wrong, and you're grabbing a hot wire.
Right. Well, and I will say too, like we keep a lot of meat in our freezer, and so if the line, if you're somebody like me that like all of a sudden the power's out, and maybe you do want to drive and purchase a generator, then bring it back. Then plug in just the specific items that you need, and don't jury rig it. There are instructions that even if you're trying to use it in case of an emergency, follow the instructions.
Yeah, don't be MacGyver with your generator. Talking about down power lines for a second, we always tell people if you see a down power line, stay away from it and call us. And I've had people ask me, well, how far away is far enough away? And my answer is always as far away as you can possibly get. But how far away is far enough away?
I think you summed it up correctly. As far away as you can get, the better off you are.
Because I've read too that especially in a storm situation, if the ground is wet and you've got a down line, that electricity from the line can travel even further than if it was just laying on dried ground.
Yeah, there's so many different conditions that exist that you have no way of knowing what it's capable of producing. So it can be secondary voltage or it can be our primary voltage. Most of our secondary voltage is 120 or 240 volts. Of course, that is nowhere near 7,200 what our primary can put out. Right. So there's just no way to tell as a customer what could be potentially be on that line. Yeah. So the further away you can get, the better off.
I was out on a job site one time recording, watching the guys, restore power, and it was during a storm-related power outage where the line was down, and you could see in the ground. Of course, now when I showed up, everything was no longer hot, but you could see in the ground where that line fell because it burned the grass. It definitely stuck with me.
Yes, That is correct. And like I said, there is no way to know how much voltage it's putting out and what it will do. Sometimes it will, when it hits the ground, it will blow the fuse and kill the power, and then sometimes it will stay hot. And also sometimes we'll have what we call backfeed. You can have it from a generator or true three-phase power. And another big point that we need to talk about is if you have a line down and you have a tree that's fell and you think that you can cut that tree and clear it off that line, don't do it.
Oh.
Call utilities and let us do it. We've had that in the past. If you cut the tree and that line can be hot, it can travel through that tree.
Yeah.
There's no sound, no warning, and it could electrocute you that way too.
Well, and you know, people think that wood is an insulator. It's not that wood's a great conductor, but it can still travel through it, especially if that wood is wet. Yep. Which could happen in a storm. If any of you have seen our safety trailer demonstration, that's something that we show, how wet wood can conduct electricity. And the thing about electricity is it can look safe, sound safe, smell safe, and it only takes a fraction of a second, and it's all over. So, yeah, it's dangerous stuff.
Yeah. What about some things, what should people have in like their emergency kit? Like if they're at you know, planning to, like we're going into kind of our tornado season, what should we have in our kit? Of
course, have plenty of water, have your flashlight, batteries for your flashlights, a weather radio, some sort of non-perishable food. That's just to name a few.
Backup batteries. I know, like, you know, those little battery sticks that you know, in an emergency can charge your phone again. Might be handy to keep those charged during this time of year.
And if you ever need a more specific list, you can always go to FEMA's website, and they have a list for emergency bags. Mm-hmm. And speaking of the EMA and FEMA, well, if you have a storm cellar, an in-home storm cellar, you can go to their website and register your storm cellar. And in case you do have a storm, they relay that information to the volunteer fire departments or the city fire departments, and they know where to come look for you if in case you do have a house that is collapsed on top of it.
That's so important.
Yeah, and we saw, or if you've seen any of the video from what happened down in Pelham, you could see there were a lot of houses that just aren't there anymore. They're just piles of rubble, and there were some initial reports of people trapped under that. So yeah, it's some definitely gets your attention when you see that.
A good thing is to check our outage map in those kinds of situations. If you want to kind of see the scope of what our linemen are working on, you can check out the outage map. I mean, when it comes to storm, you guys take safety is number one, and getting the power restored is number two. But you guys don't stop. I mean, it's constant. When there is a widespread power outage, you guys just get on it. It's amazing.
Yeah, of course we have our priorities, being a hospital, and then we have a priority customer list that people that are on a ventilator, oxygen, of course they take priority, but everyone is a priority. Just a widespread outage, sometimes it may take a little while to get to you. One thing I do ask is be patient with our guys. You'll see them, if your whole street is out and you see our guys pull on and they pull past your house 2 or 3 times, just give them space and give them some time, because they're riding that line out. What they're doing is making sure there are no down power lines before they energize.
Right.
So I know a lot of people always wonder why they see our crews come by multiple times and the lights haven't come back on yet. So what they're doing is riding it out and making sure it's safe, making sure nothing's down, and then they will energize it. And also, sometimes you'll wonder why your house is out but your neighbor's is on. And that's because your transformer has a fuse, and it could just be your transformer that's out and not theirs. So if ever that's the case, make sure you call and let us know that your power's out. And something else important to remember about generators, when you plug a generator in, a transformer, it doesn't matter which way the transformer feeds. So in normal conditions, we feed into the top of the transformer at 7,200 volts, and it comes out 120, 240 to feed the house. Now, if the generator is hooked up wrong, it will feed from the house 120, 240 and will come back out the top of that transformer at 7200. So the transformer, there's no internal switch in that transformer. So it doesn't matter which way it feeds. It'll feed up high at higher voltage and feed lower voltage, feed out lower voltage, or it can feed in at lower voltage and it will feed back out at higher voltage. So that's why it's so important to understand generators and to have a licensed electrician wire in a transfer switch correctly.
Some great information there from Casey, and we hope you'll take note of it, take it to heart.
Also, you can check out websites like ready.gov for tips on being prepared for severe weather and other situations.
That's true, and now it's time for the internet sensation that's sweeping the nation. That's right, it's comments, questions. Caitlin. Welcome back, Caitlin. What have you seen on the interwebs since last we spoke?
Hello, everybody. Yes, let us dive right on in and see what your comments and questions have been recently. So a lot of you commented on a picture that we posted of Jared, who is an equipment operator in our fiber department. He happened upon an owl that was unfortunately struck by a car on Highway 20. So he rescued the owl off of the road and put it in his truck and actually contacted a wildlife biologist to see what he could do to help make the bird better. The bird eventually did gather enough strength to be able to fly away, which we are so grateful and thankful that the bird was okay. And we're also thankful to Jared for taking the time to stop and help that owl. There were so many kind comments, too many for us to read all of them, but they're all greatly appreciated, and we made sure that Jared was able to see those. So thank you for your kind comments.
Yeah, it was funny, the comment on Instagram where someone suggested that we nickname him Owl from now on.
They may already be doing that.
I was
don't
going
know.
to say. They all have nicknames, you know.
And this just goes to prove what I've been saying for years, actually, and you've both heard me say this many times. Everyone should have a wildlife biologist on speed dial.
Absolutely.
Not a bad idea.
And the thing was, when he was telling me about it, he said, so I got in touch with a wildlife biologist. How do you get in touch with a wildlife biologist? How do you just do that? But anyway, it was still a happy ending, and it was a cool picture. So.
Indeed. Well, moving right along. Also, some of the funniest lawyers you will ever see on social media are from Jarvinen and Balch Law. They sent us a picture, actually, with something they found while doing a little bit of spring cleaning. It is an old promotional magnet from Huntsville Utilities, and they wanted to know if we could track down how old it was. Thankfully, we keep a pretty extensive archive here at Huntsville Utility, and we were able to find that out. Those magnets were sent out in October 2005 as an attachment to the customer newsletter, which used to be sent out. It was regarding an upgrade to our outage reporting system, and it glows in the dark.
If we could turn the lights out, you'd see.
Yes.
It glows in the dark.
It glows in the dark. Quite fancy, gotta say.
It glows in the dark.
I mean, who wouldn't want to have a glow-in-the-dark magnet on?
Everything should be glow in the dark, is my opinion.
However, if I was, kind of sleepy, waking up, trying to go get a cup of water, it might freak me out a little bit just to see this glowing thing hovering.
The thing that I thought was interesting was we had so many people comment and say, hey, I've still got that on my refrigerator. And this is, what did we say, 2005? Yeah. So this is almost a 16-year-old magnet, and people still using them. So.
Glad it comes in handy for you all.
Well, it still works, right? I mean,
Well, it still has the information. It may not still, glow. I don't know how long glow-in-the-dark stuff lasts. Of course, the one in our archives has been locked in a box for 16 years, I guess, and hasn't been exposed to light, so it's probably been okay, but yeah.
So yes, a pretty cool post. And then finally, Chris on Twitter gave us a heads up after he got a scam call. The automated message told him that he was about to be cut off for non-payment for his utility bills, but thankfully Chris knew it was a scam and didn't fall for it. So first of all, Chris, thank you for letting us know. We are also thankful that you did not fall for it and you had a good head on your shoulders. If y'all do get a message or a call like that, please do let us know, because we like to be able to put the word out and warn everyone else that they might be coming their way.
Yeah, and unfortunately, after we did get this notification from Chris, we put a notice out within the hour, a news release, and posted it on all our social media platforms, letting people know about that. And shortly after that, we heard from a customer who said, I got this same call about 3 days ago and paid them $300.
I cannot stand the scammers. I cannot stand how they just manipulate situations, and really they try so hard to make you think that they're legit.
Yeah, and my mother, who is of course significantly older than me, she just got a new phone number, and it's like a feeding frenzy. She's getting phone calls from all these different things, and fortunately she has heard me say enough times, if it's a number you don't recognize, just don't pick up the phone. But remember, we will never call you and threaten to cut off your utilities over the phone. We don't do that. We also never demand payment be given to us through a prepaid debit, credit, or gift card. Yeah, you can always check the status of your account. Now, here's the thing. If I got a call, and of course I work for the utility company, so of course I would know, but even before I worked for the utility company, if I'd gotten a phone call that said, hey, you didn't pay your utility bill this month, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I did, because I keep just relentless track of these kinds of things, as does my wife. But if I wasn't sure, you can still always call us at 256-535-1200 and verify the status of your account. And if you've got an online account set up through the My Account feature of our website, hsvutil.org, you can do it that way too. You just log in and it'll say, no, you're paid up. What are you talking about? So, well, it won't say, what are you talking about? It's not as casual as I am in conversation. But anyway, yeah, so those are two ways you can always check on that. So thank you, Caitlin, and the rest of you, keep those comments and questions coming, of course, as we move on into this week's birthday shout-out. Today, we wish a happy birthday to Santorio Sanctorius, born on this day in 1561. Sanctorius, or Santoro as his friends called him, was an Italian physiologist, physician, and professor known for inventing several medical devices, including the thermometer. Don't know which one, you know what I mean, which thermometer, but he did invent one. He is also known for his extensive studies of human metabolism. How did he do this, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. For 30 years, Santorio would weigh himself on a chair-like device and everything he ate as well. He would take down all his information. Here's how much I weigh, here's the weight of all the food and drink I've had. And he discovered that for every 8 pounds, he also would weigh his leavings, as it were. Okay, so he discovered that for every 8 pounds of food he ate, he only excreted 3 pounds of waste. I don't know what this told him, but it told him something. And he also discovered that this type of behavior does not get you invited to a lot of parties. So, happy birthday, Santorio Sanctorius.
Gotta say, that's some dedication.
Everybody's got to have a hobby. I mean,
that's quite the hobby. But if he didn't, invent the thermometer, where would we be right now with COVID? Because everyone checks your temperature to make sure you're safe. So
I'm sure somebody else would have invented it eventually.
This is true. But even still.
Yeah. As a reminder, all guests on HUTV receive a copy of the HUTV home game. It's handy for mom, dandy for dad, and fun for kids of all ages. It rinses clean in any dishwasher and stores flat in any drawer. The HUTV home game. Does anyone have anything to add before we go?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, well, that just about does it for today's show. But Caitlin, your showcase was the trip to Ireland, new luggage, and a speedboat. Your bid was $22,789. Actual retail price, $23,094, a difference of $305. Wow, that's impressive. Amanda, your showcase was the new game room, designer sunglasses, and a new SUV. You bid $45,300. The actual retail price, $46,400, a difference of $1,100. Caitlin, that means you win your showcase, and that's our show for this week. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, I'm Todd for Amanda, Caitlin, Flatwest, and all of us at HUTV. Thanks for watching, and remember, you can't spell utilities without you.